So today's teardown is going to be this old Magneto. It is mostly complete. This is going to be an American Bosch ZR4 ED34. Patent date October 1905. This one is a little bit later version. You can tell because you have screws that hold the cap on, and there's no center electrode for the coil. Scored this one on eBay. Unfortunately, they did not package it very well, so there's some issues. Mainly one issue from packaging. On the back here, supposed to be a little oil reservoir where you put a little bit of oil so it oils this bearing. That was broken off inside the package. The cap was already damaged. Luckily, it's got the piece. The cap had a crack on one side, and what caused it is the rust buildup in between. It actually expanded and cracked it, and when I went to unscrew it, it broke it off the rest of the way. But I still have that, so I can reattach it probably, glue it on, and go from there. Reason I got this mag because it was cheap. It was about $50, and I needed a parts mag for an engine I bought recently. So we'll see. It is free. It does turn, but it only turns so far and stops. Feels like I might be able to force it past. The timing adjustment here is seized, but there's an adjustment screw on that too. So in this vid, we're going to tear it down, see what we got to work with, and hopefully, if all goes well, I'll continue a series on it, putting it back together and restoring it. Yep, American Bosch Corporation, ZR4. On the other side, if we can get it visible at all. There you go. Got some patent dates. So I did already loosen these screws. Had this cap off to look under it when I first received it, see if anything else was damaged. So if we remove the cap, that's what we got. It doesn't look bad, except for that broken piece. All the nuts are present, which is a plus. There's a little carbon block that isn't too bad a shape. This rides in between here and connects a coil electrode to each cylinder. Alright, so we spin it there, you can see the rotor gear turning. Under here we got some points. I've never taken one of these apart before, but I've looked at a lot of pictures. Hey, there's a creature in there. Long since dead, but it's there. There's our points. On this one, the points rotate with the rotor and ride against this outer housing. Okay. Next thing I want to remove is this back cover. Had to grab a better screwdriver. Okay, I have not had this apart yet, so let's see what we got. A lot of rust buildup. So this is our electrode. This rod goes all the way to the front to send our spark to the cap. This is definitely a later version. This attaches different. If you look right here, there is a little ground electrode. And it's got some sharp points on it, and then around this stem there's some sharp edges. What that is that's a spark gap. So with this Magneto, if any of these plug wires come off and our spark has nowhere to go, it will actually destroy the rotor or the armature in here. So what it does, if there is an open wire, it's going to jump its gap right there, so it still does not tear up the Magneto. Okay, I think what I'm going to try next is I'm going to remove these magnets, which, by the way, don't feel like they have much left. Little brass hammer here. I'm going to just tap the screws a little bit. Might help. Tapping with the plastic side there. There's still something there. This one's not as strong, but still not bad. No. Pulls my pliers. We'll worry about which direction we clock them when they go back in. Take these screws out of the bottom so it sits flat. This Magneto is at least 100 years old. Alright, I want to go ahead and take this tower out next. I'm going to screw it and pull it through. It's spring loaded, so it fits tight against the cap. Nothing wrong with that. There's a little bit of crack on this piece, it looks like. Right here. No, maybe that's just a line. Okay, so I'll need to check this to make sure it's making good contact, but that is a carbon brush that's spring loaded. It rides against the rotor inside of there. Ooh, it's crusty. And a lot of rust. The windings look sealed, at least so far, but lots of rust for sure. This one's been in the weather some. Probably came off an engine sitting outside. But it could be worse for sure. Alright. Next up, I'm going to remove the points assembly. So we got a couple washers with the insulating washer. Will this come out now? I don't know. I don't think so. We also have a spring-loaded piece here. Just spin to the side. Yeah, it looks like it might. Now maybe that'll allow the points to come out. Or one side of it anyway. That. So I see that this is kind of at an angle. I'm going to tap it flat with the plastic side of this hammer. Maybe I'm not because it ain't moving. There's something under it there. Something wedged in there. And there's also a notch. Maybe that's supposed to turn before it falls into that. Tell you what, this thing was packaged so rough, this might have got beat around and pushed in shipping because the box was coming apart and everything. We can get this linkage out of the way. So I'm wondering, outer ring looks like it comes off separate. Just pressed on. That's odd though. But it's coming off pretty easy. Okay, so there is a dowel pin here. I think this was on the wrong side. I think it was tapped on wrong. And it actually goes this way because it looks like the dowel pin should ride in there for your timing advance or retard, so it only goes so far. But I'll apply a little bit of heat to this and maybe soak it and see if I can get that out later. There's a little bit of screw here, holds this spring on, whatever that does. That's probably the spring that holds the points open. Well, one half the points being there, it looks useless. Okay, I think this is a hex. It looks a little chewed up. Okay. That is a hex, but it's a little chewed. 9/32 seems to fit it okay, but a little loose. Wasn't very tight in the first place. That's the other point. There's an insulator here. Seems like this pops off. Yeah. So it looks like the whole points assembly can come off just by taking that nut off with it assembled. So we might put it together that way. Alright, I think next is to take this plate off. Let's see if I need to get a wrench or not. I don't want to mar this up real bad, so if it's tight, I'll get a wrench. Oh no, it's wasn't tight at all. So I'm hoping the bearings in here aren't pitted too bad when I get it all apart. Being it has some water damage, maybe they will be. Okay, this is brass, so it's kind of soft. So I don't want to do much here. Well, it flew off. And that bearing doesn't look bad. That's good. Bearing definitely looks usable. Erases in this part. Alright, I'm going to take this big gear off next. Looks like we got a collar back here with a set screw. I don't have the right size spanner for this, so we'll see if we can do it this way and cheat. Everything else was pretty loose, but it does not seem to be. That wasn't too bad. Okay. I figure I'll just tap right out. Doesn't seem so. The inside slides out. It's sliding. Okay, so that's different. So this is staying in place. This outside is sliding. So this doesn't turn. That's actually the bushing, the bearing. I didn't pay attention. I thought the whole thing turned with it. But I could see, you can see it here. I'm not sure if light's helping or not, but I don't know what that set screw is. Maybe this is a bearing surface is screwed in. The thrust surface. I don't know. But so far everything seems to be in decent shape. Need to remove this. That looks like it might be tighter. Okay, so my battery died while I was doing this, but broke this bolt loose. And there's a tapered shaft on here, so I used a 3-jaw puller to pop this piece loose. So let me get this rest of the way off. Golly. Okay, so that that key needs to come out. Isn't too bad. Half moon key. Something stopping it. I'll go ahead and pull the covers. I'll do this one first. Man, that was tight. Soft too, even the brass hammer mangled it up a little bit. Oh. Well, the front fell off there, but it doesn't do much yet. Oh, I see why it's not coming out. The screw right here is another brush. Okay, this is another spring-loaded carbon brush, which rides against this brass ring on the outside here. So this is the ground on our secondary circuit. And up here is the hot, goes out to the spark plugs. The rear bearing looks like it's in good shape too, luckily. That's pretty rough. I have a chipped tooth there, but maybe that's a timing mark. I don't know. So there is a condenser inside of here, supposed to be. And I believe to replace it, you get the end of this off. There's a couple screws there under this gear. I think that might even be a fiber gear though, so I gotta be careful with it. Wonder how easy that bearing slips on and off. I'm gonna regret this. Okay. I think those are screws. Can't tell. No, I bet this whole thing, this isn't screws. I think that's a nut that screws down on there. Alright, I want to see if this bearing moves. I'm not going to grab the race section, just the edge. Oh yeah, it comes right off. No problem there. And there was a spacer under it. I need to remember that. I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way. That one's going to stay. I don't need to take that one off anyway. This is the one I need to take off. Check that out. So you'll see this close up before I go any further. Yeah, that chip tooth is fresh. But it's just on the very edge, so it should be okay. As long as I don't do it anymore. Alright, there are a bunch of shims there. 1, 2. This one's really thin. 3. 4 of them. Yeah, it's definitely threaded. And it is right-hand threads. But it is tight. I'm taking this and trying to break it loose. I don't want to clamp this thing in a vise or anything. Man. That bad boy does not want to move. It's not going to be my favorite way to do it. Worried about chipping that gear. Thought I felt it move, but it might have been the whole rotor turning. Okay, just put a little mark here, lined up, that way I can tell if it's moving. Definitely moving. There we go. Oh, it's tight all the way. But I'm pretty sure this thing is not going to work with a 100-year-old capacitor in it. So it's got to come off. Works better to hold the wrench still, or the wire still, and turn the rotor. Okay. Does this gear come right off? This is another scary part. Let's try this tiny little flat wedge. Trying to go around it a little. It is moving now. Okay, so we've got a couple dowel pins there. Looks like I didn't mess it up. That's good. We'll keep that thing safe. Now I'm in trouble if these are boogered up too bad. Yes, the screwdriver still has paint on it. I was using it to hold a part I was painting the night before last. wondering, will this come off without desoldering that wire? Well, I need to do that. Okay. Yes, it's soldered in place. Cut that out of the way. Do a couple tests on this, make sure it's not shorted to ground or anything. Capacitor's in here. It says genuine condenser, American Bosch Magneto. USA. Wonder if we can get another one of these new. Not the same one, sure, but I got plenty of capacitors I can use. So genuine condenser, American Bosch Magneto. Alright, so we do have a screw over here. That's this one lead going to ground. Need to pay attention to which one that is. So which way did this come off? I already messed up. Nope, I can tell because one dowel is offset because of that screw. And if I'm making a video, I'll remember that this one is the ground. So offset facing away from me, the one on the left's the ground. Just to double check that. Yes, because this one's the one that goes to ground. Yep, so this one's the ground. That's important. I forgot to take that screw out. Just out of curiosity, wonder how that tests. Under 70 nanofarads. Wonder what a good condenser tests like. Good. There's something important here. What is this stud sticking out of the bottom? So that stud going through connects with the bolt that goes all the way through holding the points on. Wonder if that stud is any connection. Let's see. See if that stud's any connection to the yes. Okay. So when I connect this whole housing technically is supposed to be connected to the points. And it's insulated from this. There's even an insulator in here, it looks like. Yeah. So I will need to retain something to be able to run the bolt for the points all the way through. Alright, that'll be interesting. That'll be its own little video probably. There's our condenser. Pretty heavy piece. Check this thing here. First we'll check for short to ground. None. Now we're going to check continuity to that ain't good. Our secondary might be open. That means this is toast. If the secondary is open, this is done. Okay, so I do have continuity through these two. Something, let's see. 1.5 ohms to the primary. Nothing to the secondary. I was pretty sure the one that went to ground should have been part of the secondary. I wonder if it's just in here at the connection. It's something that could be fixed, because we have one leg of the secondary leg goes in here. There's a lot of rust in there. Let's see if I pierce that insulation. Okay, I got 5K. Okay, I got 5K from here to here. So the winding is good. It's just this connection in here. That I might be able to take care of. Alright, so maybe it's fixable. Maybe it's not. We'll do that in another video. This one's getting a little long here for this teardown. So I'm not going to bother unbolting these right at the moment, but this all comes apart. Got 4 screws. These 2 screws take this in housing off. 2 screws on each side. Take these plates off. We'll do that later. The screw here, I'm presuming to take this bushing out. We'll see in a second. When you oil this, you have 2 drip holes. One is a little brass tube that goes down here. If you're lubricating this bearing. And the other one goes straight to this to lubricate this. It kind of got mangled up there. Maybe it was just seized in. Looks like it went into here. I think that brass is just a washer stuck on there. All of this looks like it might be crimped. Can't quite tell. Okay. We are apart. And if it wasn't for this, I can guarantee this thing would work again. We'll see how that goes. Might be able to work on that. Alright, stay tuned. We'll do a video hopefully doing this, fixing this, and then replacing our condenser. Then another one putting this all back together after cleanup. See you then. All right. Shortly after I disassembled that other Magneto at the beginning of this video. I found another one on eBay. Got for, I think it was about 29 bucks. So this one is mostly complete. It is missing the back cover. Actually, back cover shattered off of it. And it is frozen solid. So, but it is the same exact model as the one I previously disassembled. It's going to be ZR4 ED34. I figure in the same video I'd go ahead and take this one apart and tie them together and take the best of everything I have and clean it up and then make another video, put it all back together. So some of the stuff that is repetitive and boring we'll speed through that we've already spent a lot of time on. This one might be a little more difficult. There's more corrosion on the bolts and stuff like that. But good thing is I've already taken one apart. So now I know the mistakes I made and how to make it a little easier. First thing we want to do is pull the cap off. So this cap is not broken at all. I'm hoping that there's not any rust in between here because sometimes that'll crack it when I go to remove it. Looks like I need more than that. Let's get a socket for that. That's never good. That one broke off in the housing. Flush, of course. Guess I could have applied some heat there. We'll see. This one's cracking. So it's pretty rusted. But it's turning. And that piece came out in a way I could probably glue it back in place. Bit cleaner inside of this one. This one has all the nuts on it. Threads look decent. There is a nut here that's a little different than the rest, but not a biggie. Little carbon brush here looks worn a bit more than the other one. Yeah, I don't want to break it pulling it out of there, so we'll leave it in there for now. Okay, next up, pull the brush, or not brushes, the points out. So this cap has this piece welded on there. That's good. It also has the post for grounding it to turn it off, although it looks like it's broken off of there. Go ahead and remove this all the way. This assembly just lifts off. It's definitely cleaner than the other one was. So on the other one, this spring right here was missing. So that's an issue. Let's go ahead and take these points off. This comes off as a complete assembly. Those points are pretty corroded up there. I'm not going to disassemble this whole thing right now. You saw that on the last one. ahead and pull off these magnets next. Love you too, Tucker.
Edit.
I will. I will. Probably should use an impact driver for this, but I do not know where it is. So. So we'll beat it up. Come loose the ratchet. Yeah. Okay, this table isn't working well for me. It's bouncing back too much. Let me pause this, break all these loose. Something a little more solid. Yeah, those bad boys are stuck. I might have to wait on sliding those off, get it apart a little more. All right. Need to break this nut loose. That brush is in way better shape than the other one. And this piece may not be, but the brush itself is. The rotor's a bit more rusted. Brush ain't too bad. Alright, good news is the bearings don't look too bad either.
There's a little lock screw right there. And this cuts off the bushing. So this is the screw that got mangled up on that last one coming out. What it looks like, because it has a wick in it. It goes up into the bushing. Let's see here. There's a wick that goes up into the bushing and touches the shaft. And down in here is a reservoir that holds oil when you drip oil in it. Bushing looks good. Alright, this should be interesting. Get all the crud out of these screws. Well, great. The magnet started to come off. I feel a little stronger than that other one, but still need a charge. This gear is metal. It's not like a fiber material like the other one. Says American Bosch on it. That's good. I don't have to worry about tearing that thing up. So this one must be a little bit later. Now on that other one, I was able to get this bearing off. Yeah. This one has a little retainer on it the other one did not have. Since I got a metal gear here, I'm not scared to pry this one up. I have two shims, bearing race, and a retainer. Yeah, I'll break that loose in the vise in just a few minutes. Patented October 1905. Maybe that's an 8. This side has a serial number, but it's pretty rough. I need to clean it up a little more. I think I'm going to read it. Okay, now I get the fun of dealing with this. which I have to say isn't much fun at all getting that out. I'm not going to bother pressing that out on camera. I'll just heat it up hot, throw the puller on it, and pop it off. Alright, I'm going to do a couple quick tests on this. I'm not going to bother taking this apart here. I'll do it later. But I want to make sure that we're not shorted to ground. We are not. At least not on that side. Let's check this side. No. Let's see. Oh, that is the ground. Never mind. Let's see. This side should be shorted to ground. Yeah, 0.5 ohms. If I remember correctly, the other side was. Yeah, let's see. So 1 ohm there. So 1 ohm through the primaries. We're open through the secondary, just like the last one. On the last one, I did fix it. I'll talk about it when I go to the assembly video. And maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it's supposed to be this way. But this wire, where it's shoved into here, just shoved in loosely. I pulled it out and cleaned that out and put it back in, and it made continuity. Then I just RTV'd it in place so it doesn't move. But that is the high tension side, so if it's not totally connected, it will still jump a spark in there, and maybe that's what it's supposed to do. But either way, this one's not too bad either. Good thing is we're not shorted to ground. I like the fact this is a metal gear. I'm definitely going to use that on mine when I put it back together. But so we'll get this thing all cleaned up, and there'll be a reassembly video. I'm testing it out. I do have a third one on this engine. But this one's definitely an older model. Eventually restoring this engine will be another video series. That's the plan anyway. We'll see if I get the time. Stay tuned.